Hi, I'm Doug Jensen. You know, it's been about 7 months since I released my 5-hour How to Make Money Shooting Stock Footage workshop, and I thought it was about time I produced an update video to tell you how my own stock footage business has progressed since then. By the way, if you already signed up for my course, I want to thank you for your support, and I hope your own stock footage venture is off to a great start. A lot of people have thanked me for encouraging them to get into selling stock footage. But I also hear from some people who are still skeptical and don't believe that decent money can be earned in this business. They feel that they've missed the boat. It's too late to get their foot in the door, or everything that customers want to buy has already been shot, so why bother? They tell me that I was lucky that I got into stock footage back in 2012 when the getting in was good, but it's too late for them now. Well, as you'll see in this video, I have some interesting statistics from my own earnings this year that will show that assumption is definitely not true. Believe me when I say that it is not too late to get on board, and I'll prove it later in this video. By the way, people tried telling me in 2012 that it was already too late to start selling stock footage back then. Well, I'm glad I didn't listen to those naysayers back then, and I don't think that you should listen to them today. Don't let people who have no vision or entrepreneurial spirit discourage you from following your instincts. Yeah, stock footage isn't right for everyone, but that doesn't mean that it can't be a great opportunity for you. So let's get started. First of all, if you haven't already watched the free 18-minute introduction video for my workshop, I highly recommend that you do so. The information I'll share in this video assumes that you're already up to speed on how I run my stock footage business, where I submit my clips, why I think the opportunities for making money with stock footage are bigger than ever, and also some detailed information about my own earnings so far. Just to refresh your memory, when I produced my training video back in March, I had already earned about $112,000 at Shutterstock since joining in 2012. And I calculated that my hourly income for all the work that I'd put into processing and submitting my portfolio of 4,900 clips was $274 per hour. Here's how that number was calculated. It takes me less than 5 minutes to process each new clip in post, so that means I can submit about 12 new clips per hour, which then means that it took me about 408 hours of labor to process the 4,900 clips that I had in my portfolio back then. By the way, I don't include the time I spend shooting my videos in my calculations. Why? Because I have no interest in punching a time clock when I'm out shooting, and I don't consider it work. Even if I had never heard of stock footage, I'd still be out shooting just for the fun of it. Some people like to go fishing or hunting or playing golf or playing video games or watching TV or photography. I happen to enjoy shooting video. If you feel differently, then by all means, you should include in your own calculations whatever time you spend shooting. Back in March, when I divided the $112,000 I had earned from Shutterstock by 408 hours, that worked out to be $274 per hour that I had already been paid for clips that still continue to earn thousands of dollars every month. Today, 7 months later in November, I'm now approaching $137,000 total earnings at Shutterstock. However, my hourly income has dropped to only $203 per hour. Now, why is that? Well, it's because I've uploaded a few thousand new clips this year, and most of them haven't had enough time to actually start generating income. Generally, there is a gap of at least several weeks or months between when I submit a new clip and when it starts selling. That is completely normal and expected. But during that time period, those new clips will bring down my sales statistics. I can't plant a fruit tree today and expect to start picking the apples tomorrow. It takes a little time for new clips to start selling. Therefore, I've just learned to be patient, knowing that if I do a good job in shooting my footage and an even better job creating great metadata, the sales will come. And when they come, they will keep coming. So here's how my latest sales figures work out when I crunch them now in November. It still takes me less than 5 minutes to process each new clip in post, so that means that I can still submit about 12 new clips per hour. But now I have 8,100 clips in my portfolio, which means that it has taken me about 675 hours of labor to process all 8,100 clips. So if I divide my total Shutterstock earnings today, $137,000, by 675 hours of work, that turns out to be $203 per hour. As I said, that is a drop from $274 per hour a few months ago, so on the surface it looks bad, but it's anything but. Because now I have 3,200 more clips in my portfolio than I did on January 1st. That's 3,200 more assets that are probably going to generate tens of thousands of dollars over the next few years, once they have a chance to get rolling, which, as I said, takes little time. Fortunately, I've already done all the work that needs to be done, and now I just have to wait for it to pay off. Kind of like an author waiting for the royalty checks to come in every month. One thing that's for sure, though, I don't expect to get any sympathy just because my hourly income has dropped from $274 per hour to $203. That's still pretty good, right? Even if I did choose to include the hours I spent shooting in my calculations, my income would absolutely still be well over $100 per hour. As you should know, if you watched my earlier video, I also earn hundreds of dollars each month from other stock footage agencies, such as Adobe. But Shutterstock is still where the bulk of my earnings come from. So just to keep things simple, I'm only going to talk about my Shutterstock earnings in this video. I consider the rest of my income from stock as just icing on the cake. Now, if I log into my Shutterstock contributor account and change this bar graph from 3 months to 12 months, you can see that the trend for my earnings is rising. Here it is on a more detailed bar graph I created. And you can see that September and October each almost hit $4,000. Those were my 2 best months ever. Let's break these numbers down further. In January, my sales rose 17% over the same month in 2018. February slipped 4% year over year, but then again, February is always my second weakest month of the year anyway. Things got back on track in March with a 12% jump over 2018, and then slipped again with a massive 37% drop in May. I can't explain that drop in sales, so I have just chalked it up as a fluke. Fortunately, as I talk about in my training video, the seeds that I planted months ago started to germinate and bear fruit in June. That month, my year-over-year sales jumped 70% from $1,745 in June 2018 to nearly $3,000 this year. July saw a very nice 36% increase. August was only up 4%, but September sales were up 56%, and October was up a whopping 88%. So you can see that my earnings vary quite a bit from month to month, but that's the way it's always been since I got started selling stock footage in 2012. The key takeaway from this chart is that the trend, despite some peaks and valleys, is moving in the right direction. My earnings have clearly been growing significantly the last few months. In 2018, my average monthly earnings at Shutterstock was $2,200. So far in 2019, I'm averaging $2,630, and that is almost a 20% increase. At the beginning of 2019, I set a personal goal to earn $30,000 at Shutterstock, and I'm confident that now I'll make that goal. And my target for 2020 is going to be $35,000. Now let's dig a little deeper into my numbers for the last 2 months, and I'll show you that I'm not making the bulk of my income from just a handful of high-earning clips. In September, I earned $3,692, which, as I said, was a 56% increase over the same month in 2018. I had 107 downloads during the month with an average commission of $34.51 each. The highest commission for a single sale was $240, and the lowest was $2. In fact, I had 5 sales that only paid $2 each. I'm not happy with that, but what are you going to do? I've decided to accept the $2 sales with a smile on my face, knowing that they will be balanced out by an occasional $240 sale or even more. By the way, there's no way for me to determine if a particular sale was for 4K, HD, or a standard definition version of my clip, or who bought it, or how it was used. That information is not available. In fact, very little sales information or statistics are reported to contributors by Shutterstock, and I had to compile a lot of this data by tediously creating spreadsheets by hand. During September, only 4 sales earned more than $100, so clearly I'm not making the big bucks from just a few large sales every month. And don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy to get a $300 or $400 download as often as possible, but those are the exceptions, like buying a winning lottery ticket. Instead, my stock footage business is built upon a solid base of getting dozens of downloads per month from a wide range of categories. I much prefer having a solid and consistent source of income that I can count on month in and month out, rather than hitting a jackpot once in a while. In fact, I'm reaching the age where my monthly income from stock footage has actually become one of the pillars of my retirement planning. Of those 107 downloads I had in September, there were 65 different clips sold. In other words, I sold 65 different and unique clips at least once in September, meaning that 42 downloads were for clips that already had sold at least once during the month. Selling 65 different clips in a given month is about average for me, and I think once again it shows my portfolio doesn't just rely on a few big earners to account for the bulk of my earnings. And here's an interesting statistic that just goes to show you never know what will sell or when it will sell. I had 14 clips sell for their very first time in September. One of those clips was submitted in 2012. It sat dormant for 7 years and then finally sold in September 2019. And that is great, because my experience shows that once a clip is sold for the first time, the odds that it will sell again just went up dramatically. Why? Because the Shutterstock search engine will give that clip better placement from now on because one customer chose to buy it the first time. And that now gives my clip an edge. So, a seed that I planted clear back in 2012 has finally started to bear fruit, and it will be interesting to watch how much more it earns over the next few years. One of the other clips that sold for the first time was submitted in 2016, 2 in 2017, 5 in 2018, and 4 in 2019. This is exactly why I feel like a farmer planting seeds whenever I submit new clips. 5 of the downloads in September were for editorial clips, and 102 were commercial. 0 of the clips that sold were for clips that required model releases. As I said in my training video, I consider myself a cinema verite or documentary style stock footage shooter. I don't hire models, I don't hire crew, I don't book locations, and I don't generally put any planning into my shooting. I pretty much just shoot whatever I feel like shooting, whenever I feel like it. When I see an opportunity, I take it. And since I basically have no expenses, almost all my income is profit. Now let's look at last month's numbers. In October, I earned $3,751, which, as I said, was an 88% increase over the same month in 2018. I had 85 downloads during the month with an average commission of $44.12 each, which is about 27% more per download than I had in September. The highest commission for a single sale in October was $280, and the lowest was $2. In fact, once again, I had 4 sales that only paid $2 each, virtually the same number as in September. But on a happier note, I had 7 sales that earned more than $100 versus only 4 in September. Of the 85 downloads I had in October, there were 68 different clips sold, which is an even higher percentage than the previous month, where only 65 of 107 downloads were for unique clips. As far as I can tell, only 12 of the clips that sold in September also sold in October. Only 12. That's really not very much overlap and shows that I have a fairly diversified portfolio that doesn't rely on selling the same handful of clips over and over again. Now this is interesting. Out of the 68 unique clips that were sold in October, 20 of them were downloaded for the very first time in October. In other words, almost 1/3 of the clips I sold during the month were clips that had never sold before. 20 seeds started to bear fruit for the very first time that month. And one of those 20 clips was submitted in 2013. It sat dormant for 6 years and finally sold last month. One clip was submitted in 2014, one in 2015, 2 in 2016, 3 in 2017, 6 in 2018, and 6 in 2019. Let's stop and talk about those 6 clips that I uploaded in 2019 and which sold for their first time in October. That kind of turnaround is not too bad, but it gets even more interesting when you learn that those are just the clips from 2019 that sold for the first time in October. There were several other clips that were uploaded in 2019 and sold during October, but which had already sold at least once before. In fact, 19 of my 85 downloads in October were for clips that I had only submitted this year. 19 out of 85 means that 22% of my downloads were for clips that didn't even exist on Shutterstock's website before January 2019. It seems that people who think they missed the boat with stock footage might not be right after all, doesn't it? Let's dig even deeper into the numbers. Of those 19 clips that I submitted in 2019 and that sold in October, 17 of them were submitted after March 13th, 2019. Now, why is that date significant? Because that is the day my How to Make Money Shooting Stock Footage workshop was released on Vimeo, which means that anyone who watched my video last March, shot the same clips I shot, and followed my advice for processing them could have made those 17 sales in October for themselves, totaling $617. Now, in case you aren't aware, every clip stands alone in Shutterstock's search engine algorithm, so it doesn't make any difference who shot a clip, how long a contributor has been with Shutterstock, what else a contributor has submitted, how big their portfolio is, or what camera they used to shoot it. Every clip lives or dies on its own merits and competes with similar clips from other contributors on a level playing field. In other words, I don't have an advantage over a newcomer just because I've been at Shutterstock longer, and that's exactly the way it should be. Now, those 17 downloads and the $617 they earned were just for October. If I add up all the earnings from March through October for clips that I uploaded after March 13th, my earnings total $2,303 as of October 31st. And those clips just keep right on selling and will continue to sell for years and years. That is exactly how you make money from stock footage. You plant the seeds and then hopefully harvest fruit from the same tree month after month for years to come. Now you might be wondering what those clips were that I uploaded. Well, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to put all my cards on the table. I have to keep some things private or everyone will just go out and shoot the same stuff. But I will say that none of those new clips were anything that required special access that wouldn't be open to anyone who saw the same opportunities as I did. And the subject matter of those clips is all over the map anyway. Believe it or not, I sell a broad range of clips and there is no single category I could point to and say, that is where I make my money. If that was the case, then I'd concentrate all my efforts in that area, but I don't. I shoot what I have access to, what interests me, and what I will have fun shooting. Seriously, if I heard there was a huge market for footage of kids eating ice cream or silver-haired seniors riding bikes through a park, I wouldn't shoot it. Why? Because it sounds like too much work, and I don't have access to attractive models who will work for free. If I heard there was a huge market for footage of downtown Tokyo, I wouldn't shoot that either because I'm not there. And if I heard there was a demand for footage of a farmer milking a cow, I wouldn't shoot that either because I don't know any farmers. I'd rather go into the swamp and look for gators or just keep my eyes open as I drive around town. You'd be amazed at how much money I've made just from pulling over, getting out of my car, and taking advantage of something I just happened to come across. No planning, no crew, no expenses, just seeing something that I think some stock footage buyers might be looking for. If you really want my advice on what to shoot, look for shots with action in them, people doing things, subject matter that is in the news, things that you will personally enjoy shooting, and anything else you can shoot that others may not have easy access to. Think about those ideas and let them guide you as to what to shoot. And obviously, the answers are going to be different for each and every person, as they should be, or we'd all just be out shooting the same stuff. Now, when you boil it all down, there are 3 keys to success with stock footage. 1, shoot subject matter that customers actually have a need for. 2, make sure you have high production values, exposure, composition, focus, white balance, grading, etc. And lastly, create excellent metadata, keywords and descriptions so customers can actually find your clips. When someone ticks all 3 of those boxes, then they will have an excellent chance of making some sales. So if you're ready to start making some serious money from a passive income stream and save a lot of time doing it very efficiently, then please sign up for my workshop and let's get down to business. I'm ready to help give your stock footage business the boost it needs to achieve great success.